So I'll follow you.
Okay, well, this is a hammered piece of pewter.
Hammered.
It's hammered. Although you're not going to see any hammer marks.
I don't. It looks perfectly smooth to me.
This one, I use leather-covered mallets that my husband made for me in various sizes. And I happen to keep one of them.
Oh, I'm glad you did, because I couldn't imagine it otherwise.
Yeah,
leather-covered mallets.
Yeah, he would turn on his wood lathe a wood piece, and I would hammer it around. It would be exactly, well, to a point like it, or otherwise I couldn't get the mold out. But it's one piece, and it's soldered down through here.
Oh.
Yeah. We did the little brackets. This I had a craftsman that we knew that worked in wood make the walnut handle, so there wouldn't be anything commercial about it. But it's made in 1, 2. This has little holes drilled in it.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
it seems very complicated. How long did it take to do something like that?
Well, one of these. Now this is 2, 3 pieces, and this inner lip is soldered in to fit tight on purpose so that coffee doesn't come out, accidentally. So I've cut out either a round form for everything, or a circle, or the shape, No, I designed it.
You designed it yourself.
We designed everything, everything that we made.
I do believe you're the only person I know who works with pewter.
There are very few. At one point, there was only the one. My husband was the only one that did pewter spinning, and I was the only one that did the hammered pewter in Georgia. And between Williamsburg and Fort Walton Beach, he was the only person that we knew of. And this piece is a fabricated piece. He spun that. I hammered this. I cast that and hammered that.
So you were art partners, not just wedding partners.
Yes. The chucks that were made, we'd draw them out, but then when he'd take his hardwood chuck and turn it down to the shape we wanted it, I'd be out there with him, or take a little off here, and he'd say, well, what do you think about this? So we worked together in all of it.
And you still loved each other?
I think that's why we loved each other. Otherwise, we wouldn't have seen each other.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of variation from couple to couple. This is the one that attracted me to you as an artist, because you and I had such a nice conversation about what's involved in it, and it's just gorgeous.
Well, we had permission to copy an antique. A lady brought it into our shop. We had a shop in Columbus, Georgia, and she brought it in for repair, and there was no marking on it whatsoever. So since it wasn't copyrighted in any way, we felt free to.
By marking, I was thinking mistake. You meant a signature by the artist.
Yes, or any kind of a copyright or register mark.
Got it.
Then, we wouldn't have duplicated it. I would have made some kind of difference in it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even thought of that. But yes, if you're going to be ethical and in the field of art, that's certainly something
right. And I just fell in love with it when I saw it.
But how'd you get the holes in there?
Well, to begin with, I had to first cast them, and the casting would the holes would fill up, and I had to cut them out with a jeweler's saw. I have a picture of me cutting out.
Does that mean the pewter is wet?
Yes.
You said you pour it?
We pour it. It was all hand poured. That was one mold for the bowl and another mold for the handle.
Wow. That's right. 1979.
Yeah.
And where were you living then?
We lived in Columbus, Georgia. We lived there, moved from West Virginia to Columbus in 1965 and lived there 36 years before we moved to Athens. These were commissioned pieces. This is Callaway Gardens logo. Then I made the butter spreader and the jelly spoon for them for their catalog, for their country store.
Oh, nice. Wow. So you were actually paid for doing some things.
Oh, yes.
If you're paid by somebody, you have to do what they want you to do, right?
Yes, but this was a hobby for us. We also had a construction company, and that's what fed us. So
are these figures?
This is part of a nativity scene. Oh. We're missing the integral.
The baby Jesus.
Mary Joseph and the baby Martha. She put things out for sale and didn't wind up with any herself. So,
I know.
But this was hammered into a mold that my husband made, and these were hammered. These three pieces were hammered into a tree stump that he had hollowed out.
This is lovely how you use those colors.
Oh, yeah, Missy did that.
She did?
Well, as a matter of fact, she and I'm not sure who made this or the other one. She did the gold leaf on there. And
that is so graceful.
This one I left. I could have polished it and gotten all of the iridescent colors out of it, but that came when I soldered feet on the back from the heat of the torch, and I thought I rather like that, so let's just leave it this time.
I do too. I mean, you say you got invited to do these special things because nobody else was doing them, but you wouldn't have wouldn't have had it if you were doing a crappy job.
That's one thing. We were both sort of perfectionists with what we did. I mean, if it doesn't look right to me, it's got everything is stamped on the bottom. He started
Pewter by Parker. Excellent.
And I figure our name is on it. I had my own stamp.
Let's see, what does yours say?
Mine says pewter, and then there's a rose in the middle. And then it has my name, Judie Parker.
For us, if we're going to be creative people, we have to view it as fun.
Well, I don't know how you could do it otherwise, Rosemary. I mean, it would be just like stamping out stuff almost, you know. And that's the way most pewter is made in the United States. It's commercially done and just stamped out all in one operation. Artist friend that was set up next to us at a show bought the bowl and then brought it back at the next time, and of course she had an instant sale.
Oh, that is really a wonderful privilege to have someone love your work so much they used it creatively to create some other thing. I mean, that is fabulous. Is any of this connected to something you made, like the key?
Oh, I made the key.
Governor and Mrs. Miller.
Oh, yeah, we have a picture with Mrs. Miller.
So you went as an exhibitor under a tent on the governor's mansion grounds. To be invited to something like that is such a big deal.
It all started Ross still got a magazine from West Virginia called the West Virginia Hillbilly. And it had a picture in there of some pewter articles that this gentleman in Charleston had spun on a wood lathe. This is how you spin on a wood lathe. You take your flat, round piece of metal, and he's shaping it with these handmade tools up over this chuck. But it's a lot like a potter draws clay, only one's vertical and one's horizontal.
Oh, yeah, that helps me understand it more, because I have seen people do that.
Yeah, and this was it was a wood lathe.
Now, did he make those tools too?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Well, it sounds like you had a useful husband.
Oh, yes. He had a small wood lathe that his father had given him when he was 12 years old. But it was not heavy enough for the things that we were attempting to make later on. It was fine for the beginning purposes. But while we were we'd love to go up in the mountains and just wander around. So we were going down, coming into this nice little town of Silva, and I got all excited and said, Ross, there's a pewter shop. So we went over there, and there were people hammering pewter. And that's where I got my idea. I had, and I instantly just loved it.
Yeah, isn't that, it just called out to you?
It did. He said, and a sweet husband of mine said, well, any idiot can hammer. I said, well, all right, you've got your idiot, make me a hammer.
It called to you. You did not go searching for it.
No, I was happy to be involved in the mold making, in the polishing, and, just helping him. Had no idea that I would one day even think or dream of making anything, but it just reeled me in, hook, line, and sinker.
The universe called your name.
It did.
Yeah.
Well, completely self-taught.
Wow.
Because there was nobody except this gentleman in West Virginia that did the metal spinning, but there was nobody to teach us.
Wow.
So when I got involved in the hammered pewter, well, I saw how they did it. They were just wonderful people. I think were so wonderful to share their information, how they polished things to get the finish that they did.
Yeah.
And they showed us their plate forms and their hammers. So we went from there and made our own. Your hammering table is no taller than this, and you just bend over it and
beat that. Well, now that would take some aggression out of your body, wouldn't it?
With 6 children, it did.
I used to
dearly love them.
I know you do.
My grandmother taught me to crochet, so I crocheted. That progressed to knitting. I made Missy and Carrie both a pretty little sweater set when they were young. I made most of Missy's clothes when she was, I did sewing, and I did needlepoint, and I love needlepoint. We were the type people that we just didn't, even with 6 children, we didn't just sit back and watch them or watch TV or whatever, which we did plenty of watching the children, filming them and their hijinks, but we had to have something to do with our hands. We both loved to cook, and we were both real good cooks. And one winter, we rebuilt a player piano, took all the bellows and everything out, numbered them, and
you are totally amazing me.
Rebuilt a Model A Ford for our oldest daughter to take to college.
Oh my heavens!
So it was, it was just always something. At one point, Ross and 2 other guys were building he had a big workshop in the home we had in one of the homes. And he and two other gentlemen were building an experimental airplane in my basement.
Oh, Lord.
I flew also.
Wow.
I had 9 hours of flight time.
Mm-hmm.
But we were confident that I could land the plane.
If you had
with
to.
the kids on board, I mean.
Mm-hmm. In an emergency.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. I saw the bird cage and then the inside fixture. There were two different pieces. And I saw them out at junk in the trunk, so I just, took the brass out.
That is
and
fabulous.
Out of the lantern and put it in that.
Great. So what have you done since you've moved besides that wonderful lamp?
I involved in painting furniture.
Ah.
Yeah, I painted most of that. I did the fireplace. I did the white cabinet. All my
Hey, that's right.
bedroom furniture.
What kind of a dunce am I didn't notice you had a fireplace?
Not a real one.
I should have said, how'd you get a fireplace?
I found that out at junk in the trunk after I moved in here.
Oh.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to have it. In fact, it's faux brick. I mean, it's not brick. And there's a piece of cardboard in the back that I painted black. I don't remember what color it was. And I thought, well, all fireplaces get sooty, so let's do it black.
That's right. Well, I just think you're absolutely fearless. You have no fear when it comes to trying something. Or do you?
Maybe not. Maybe not. I guess after I took the flying lessons and the pilot did all of these stalls and things like you're flying along and all of a sudden the plane quits and you just, I guess you learn to overcome fear. I made this necklace. I took the watercolor class that they offer for the first time a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that Paul has been teaching?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wonderful.
I said, I've never done that before, never done any painting or drawing, or I've used my hands, but, in other areas. But it was so much fun. We'll do this again.
Oh, wonderful.
I'll do it again.
And you don't have to have a whole workshop to do it.
No, you could do it here. Okay. Well, I was having lunch one day with Vonnie and someone else, and I've known Vonnie since I've been here just to speak, but never to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation. When we get down to it, she likes to do needlework.
Yes.
And she said, well, we have a knitting group here. And I think it would be fun if we would get a group together and we could do our different needlework. She crochets, I needlepoint. I mean, we were poor, but we didn't know, we didn't know what was rich, what was poor.
Yeah.
And we were happy, the happy as could be. But she would get the Sears Roebuck catalog and sit down with me and ask me to pick out a dress that I wanted. And she would make that dress for me from feed sacks.
Oh my goodness.
Or flour sacks.
Wow.
No pattern. No, just sit down and make it.
She was fearless too.
And
you got that from her.
I guess maybe I did.
Yeah.